The city's property prices fell 15% last year after rising for over a decade. Cross-border schooling to resume soon. Labour Department presses charges against 3 companies in connection with Mirror concert accident. Good evening and welcome to TVB News. The latest government figures showed Hong Kong's property price dropped 15% in 2022 after rising for the previous 13 years, but some analysts forecast there will be a rebound this year.
Plagued by the COVID pandemic, rate hikes and an economic downturn, Hong Kong's private home price index dropped 15.5% last year, according to data from the Rating and Valuation Department. This marks the biggest fall since 1998, which also put a stop on a 13-year rising trend in the city's home prices. Looking at December 2022 alone, the private home price index shrank 2% month-on-month. That's a decline for the 7th consecutive month, also the lowest level since April 2017. Prices for medium and small-sized flats all fell, but prices for large units exceeding 1,722 square feet rose. Still, some analysts believe the property market may improve starting March. Derek Chan, head of research from Rika Corp Properties, says it will take time for money from the mainland to return to the city's property markets, even after cross-border travel resumed. He added the indexes from the Rating and Valuation Department slightly lag behind the actual situation, and he expects home prices for January 2023 will still dip about 1%. Chan said February will be the consolidation period and expects home prices to edge up in March. Chan expects home prices for the entire 2023 will rise about 10 to 12%. Meanwhile, the city's rental index in the private property market ended its downward trend. The index rose 0.2% month-on-month in December, though it still marks a 3.7% drop year-on-year. Analysts believe as the city's economy is picking up, together with a rising number of tourists and enterprises returning to Hong Kong, there will be support for the rental market in the city.
The Education Bureau expects that cross-border students living on the mainland will be able to attend in-person classes in Hong Kong in phases starting next month. Secondary school students will be allowed to return to the city from mid-February, but primary school and kindergarten pupils will have to wait until late February. Christy Khan reports.
The Education Bureau had earlier said about 21,000 cross-border students living in the mainland could return to Hong Kong to attend in-person classes on February 1st at the earliest. But the plan has been slightly postponed. The Bureau said the SAR government has been holding discussions with mainland authorities to streamline cross-border arrangements for the students, including both the transport and testing areas. The latest development is that they will have to wait until at least mid-February instead. This cross-border student says she is disappointed about the delay, and she hopes the government can reopen more border checkpoints, such as the Lower Control Point, which is closer to her home. Lawmaker Chu Kwok-keung, who is from the education sector, says the postponement has disappointed a lot of parents as well. He said the authorities should allow cross-border students to take rapid antigen tests instead, saying the PCR testing arrangements is not practical. This as many PCR testing centers in Shenzhen have ceased operations. Meanwhile, a cross-border school bus operator is worried that they will not be able to resume school bus services by mid-February, citing the difficulty in recruiting staff during the Lunar New Year period. Furthermore, he hopes the drivers and bus nannies could be exempted from conducting PCR tests and the need to reserve quotas for crossing the border. Christy Khan, TVB News.
Hong Kong's daily COVID caseload remains below the 3,000 mark for the 5th consecutive day, with 2,335 new infections reported today. 45 cases were imported. 22 more patients have died. Meanwhile, Government Health Advisor Professor Lau Yulong said the government can consider relaxing more anti-COVID measures from mid-February if the pandemic situation stabilizes in the coming 2 weeks. He suggested the PCR testing requirement for people traveling between Hong Kong and the mainland can be replaced with rapid antigen tests or completely scrapped. He added the daily testing arrangement for students can be dropped 2 to 3 weeks later, and the mask mandate can be removed in phases from mid-February. However, he advised people to wear face masks if they visit high-risk places such as hospitals and clinics. The Labour Department has filed 15 prosecutions against 3 companies in connection to the Mirror concert accident when a giant screen fell and injured 2 people. The 3 companies include the main concert contractor Engineering Impact, the subcontractor Hip Hing Lung Stage Engineering Company, and Studio Dance, which hired dancers. They are suspected of violating the Occupational Safety and Health Ordinance and the Employees' Compensation Ordinance. A total of 15 charges are filed against the companies, one of which is the failure to provide employees with safe working equipment. The first hearing of the case is scheduled at Kowloon City Magistrates Courts on March 27th. Starting next Wednesday, cannabidiol, which is commonly called CBD, will be classified as a dangerous drug, meaning it will be illegal to manufacture, sell, trade and possess any CBD products. Mimosa Ngai tells us more.
Nowadays, CBD products come in many shapes and forms, such as pain relief ointments, cold-pressed oil, and gummies. While CBD is a chemical derived from the cannabis plants, Customs said the chemical is inseparable from THC, the infamous compound that causes people to experience a high. From next Wednesday, Hong Kong will add CBD to the Dangerous Drugs Ordinance, meaning it will be treated as a serious drug, just like cocaine and heroin. Customs reminded residents to check product packaging before purchasing to see whether those products contain CBD. Residents should look out for products with labels showing words like cannabidiol, CBD, and hemp. If not, they will have the zigzag leaf symbol. The department is also planning to educate school children on the harmful effects of CBD.
I think we will take first step later when, for example, in school, or to educate them that CBD is being, included in the Dangerous Drugs Ordinance, and to raise up the awareness for such change.
But in countries such as Canada, Australia, and Thailand, CBD products are legal. So how would tourists be able to know about the new ordinance in the cities?
One of the ways is through airlines. We have some API, we call it some videos or some leaflets that place it in the airplane, so that to tell them, CBD in Hong Kong is prohibited.
On the prosecution issue, Chen said the authorities will handle enforcement on a case-by-case basis.
Each single case is unique, individual. We will seek legal advice from the Department of Justice and to determine whether we defer the action or not. But whether we take the prosecution depends on the sufficiency of the evidence.
The Customs and Excise Department said if residents have bought any CBD products or have seen any suspicious activities relating to CBD, they should report them to the authorities by calling the 24-hour hotline or writing to the department's crime reporting email. Under the new law, possessing or consuming CBD products will lead to up to a 7-year prison sentence and a $1 million fine. Those who produce and transport those products will be subjected a maximum sentence of life imprisonment and a $5 million fine. Mimosa Ngai, TVB News.
U.S. President Joe Biden announced on Thursday a 2-year extension of deferred and forced departure for Hong Kong residents program. Mainland authorities have criticized the move as hurting Hong Kong's stability. The Washington extension aims to provide Hong Kongers who fear about returning to Hong Kong with temporary safe haven in the U.S. The program was first introduced in August 2021, allowing eligible Hong Kongers to stay in the U.S. temporarily and apply for work permit. The Chinese embassy in the U.S. criticized that Washington's move has harmed Hong Kong's stability, saying that the U.S. should stop interfering with the city's internal affairs. The Chinese Foreign Ministry's office in Hong Kong said the extension of the program fully exposed Washington's intention to disrupt Hong Kong. In Guam, the U.S. Marine Corps opened its new base on Thursday. The base will host about 4,000 troops currently stationed in Okinawa, Japan. The personnel transfer will begin in 2024. The $8 billion construction project was partly funded by Japan, which put up $3 billion towards it. The U.S. Marines Guam transfer is based on a 2006 realignment plan between the U.S. and Japan, which is intended to reduce Okinawa's base hosting burdens. The Pentagon has redirected its forces to counter China, which Washington deems as a growing threat to U.S. security. After the U.S. and Germany pledged tanks to Kyiv in its fight against Moscow's invasion, Russia pounded Ukraine with missiles and drones, killing at least 11 people across the country. Canada is the latest country to send Ukraine battle tanks. Tracy Furness reports.
Air raid alarms sounded across Ukraine on Thursday as people headed to work. In the capital Kiev, crowds took cover in underground metro stations. Russia pounded Ukraine with missiles and drones in waves of attacks, killing at least 11 people, damaging dozens of buildings and energy facilities in an array of regions. In the capital, a 55-year-old man was killed and others wounded as Russia targeted energy facilities aimed at depriving Ukrainians of light and heating. Sergei, a worker in a nearby plant, said the blast hit in waves. He and others were behind a truck, so had some protection. 6 workers in an open space were wounded and 1 killed. In a town 25 kilometers southwest of Kiev, the 67-year-old woman lost her home. This is such a tragedy. I am left without anything. This is such a disaster. Everything is destroyed. I heard a roar, then an extremely loud strike that made me jump up. I was in the bedroom on the other side of the house from the strike. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, in his daily address, defended his request for more weapons. Every Russian missile against our cities, every Iranian drone which terrorists use, are arguments for why more weapons are needed. Only weapons neutralize terrorists. Meanwhile, Canada's defense minister announced that the country will send 4 of its Leopard 2 tanks to Ukraine.
That Canada will supply Ukraine with 4 Leopard 2 main battle tanks in the coming weeks. This donation, combined with the contributions of allies and partners, will significantly help the armed forces of Ukraine as they fight heroically to defend their nation's freedom and sovereignty.
Japan announced additional sanctions on Moscow, banning exports to Russia of key strategic goods and freezing assets of dozens of individuals. Japan will prohibit Russia-bound shipments of goods that can be used to enhance military capability, including semiconductor equipment and components, robots, power generators, explosives and vaccines. Tracy Furness, TVB News.
Still ahead on tonight's news. 5 U.S. police officers are fired and charged for murdering motorist. Unrest and violence in Haiti continues. And a fire in Chunwan forces villagers to evacuate. Welcome back to TVB News. In the U.S., 5 police officers in Memphis have been fired in relation to an arrest that led to a motorist's death. They will face murder charges. President Joe Biden is urging protests in Tennessee to remain peaceful as officials plan to release a video of the incident soon. This report from NBC News.
Tonight, 5 former Memphis police officers have been charged with second-degree murder in the deadly arrest of 29-year-old Tyree Nichols.
While each of the 5 individuals played a different role in the incident in question, the actions of all of them resulted in the death of Tyree Nichols, and they are all responsible.
All 5 officers also charged with aggravated assault, aggravated kidnapping, and official misconduct charges.
What happened here does not at all reflect proper policing. This was wrong This was criminal.
The announcement comes amid rising tension ahead of tomorrow's release of video from the deadly traffic stop.
He was a human piñata for those police officers. It was an unadulterated, unabashed, nonstop beating of this young boy for 3 minutes.
Oh my God.
Tyree's mother, heartbroken. Her son was a dad and loved to skateboard.
You all had an opportunity to view this video.
I watched about a minute of it, but I couldn't. Once I heard my son say, "What did I do?" I lost it, and I couldn't.
Police say they stopped Nichols for reckless driving on January 7th and that 2 confrontations ensued, after which Nichols complained of shortness of breath. He was taken to the hospital in critical condition and died 3 days later.
We're better than this. We're better than the egregious conduct and actions of those police officers.
Less than a week after the incident, all 5 officers were fired after an internal investigation found they violated multiple department policies, including excessive use of force, duty to intervene, and duty to render aid. The attorneys representing 2 of the officers saying their clients plan on pleading not guilty.
No one out there that night intended for Tyre Nichols to die. No one.
2 Memphis Fire Department personnel who helped care for Nichols have also been relieved of duty, pending an investigation, the department says. The Shelby County District Attorney's Office, the FBI, and Department of Justice are all now investigating.
Police officers in Haiti blocked streets and forced their way into the country's main airport to protest against the recent killing of officers by armed gangs. Protesters in civilian clothes, claiming to be police officers, first attacked Prime Minister Ariel Henry's official residence before heading to the airport in the capital, Port-au-Prince, as the leader arrived back from a trip to Argentina. Henry was temporarily left stuck in the airport. Roads around Port-au-Prince were blocked by protesters. Human rights groups say that 78 police officers have been killed in Haiti since Henry became prime minister in 2021, amid a surge in gang violence. The United Nations is discussing whether to send a foreign strike force to crack down on the gangs. In New Zealand, people in Auckland were forced to evacuate their homes as heavy rain caused major flooding in some parts of the city. A building collapsed due to torrential rain. People were chest deep in the floodwaters as they were forced to move to higher ground. Singer Elton John had to cancel his concert due to the floods. New Zealand's Met Service issued severe weather warnings as the torrential rain continued to fall. Local police urged motorists to take care on the roads as there were some landslides reported. Back locally, a fire broke out in Wang Lung Chun in Tsuen Wan at around 4 a.m., which burnt 3 metal huts. Some 70 villagers were evacuated, while 2 men were rushed to the hospital due to smoke inhalation. The blaze initially broke out in one of the metal huts in the early hours of Friday. A dog went missing as the premises were evacuated, but was later found. The fire was put out within 3 hours. An investigation into the blaze is underway. Authorities called on residents to be cautious about fire safety, especially during the dry winter weather. Many people lined up outside immigration branch offices across the city to renew their passports as international travel has resumed. Most of the online reservations are full. Dozens lined up at this office in Tsim Sha Tsui with a queue stretching along the streets. A lot of them did not make prior reservations. The online reservation system shows that 7 of the 8 branches under the Immigration Department are fully booked until the 24th of next month. And that's the news. Thanks for watching.